That's my quarterback. It ain't fair. That's my quarterback. What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P. We are back once again, and you already know it's the Motor City Cats. One thing is for certain, and three things are for sure. When you see me in front of your TV or whatever screen you're watching me on, I thank you. I appreciate you. But it's the fact that the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. And number three, we want to make sure that you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Now, that may be the most pertinent and important thing of all, that you keep your Lions news pragmatic, because shout out to Lions Syndicate, shout out to Easy, shout out to some other people that have been talking about this. There are some accounts out there that they don't make no goddamn sense at all whatsoever. And y'all know the accounts that I'm talking about. They're most so prevalent on Facebook. So if you're not on Facebook, you don't see them. I'm not really on Facebook. But what I will say is this. When you see an article or a post that says Dan Campbell leaving the Detroit Lions, or Jahmyr Gibbs begging to stay, but they're trying to trade him, brother, don't click on it. Don't give them the views. Don't give them the recognition. Ban them. Delete them. Block them. When you see it, just block it. Don't click on it. What are you clicking on it for? You know it's lies. You know it's lies. As in the immortal words of my man Mario, what did he say? Baby, I just don't get it. I mean, do you enjoy being hurt, Lions fans? Do you enjoy being hurt? I know you smell the perfume and you see the lipstick on his shirt. You don't believe their stories. You know that they're all lies. As invested as you are, you stick around. Man, I don't know why. You already know what it is. I can flip it on his head. But anyway, it's just stop. Bro, I mean, the channels are the channels. The posts are the posts. The profiles are the profiles. And when I see something like that with 20,000 views, when I see something like that with 20,000 subscribers, I'm like, you could just subscribe to the Motor City Cats and get facts. But you choose to subscribe to this nonsense. And it is what it is. There are some other pitfalls that I won't get into, like people having fake foundations and things of this nature. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's get to what we came here to talk about today. My quarterback. It ain't fair that y'all talk about Jared Goff like that's my quarterback. That's my teammate. I got the glasses on too. You know what I'm saying? I was gonna put some like water, you know what I'm saying, under my eyes so y'all would think I was actually crying. Anyway, the quarterback series, season 2, Netflix, dropped yesterday. Or for y'all, I think it was today, like 3 a.m. For me, it was yesterday, like 4, 5 p.m., something like that. But it dropped, and it's heavy. It started off hot. Jared Goff took shots at Sean McVay. I mean, he took shots at Sean McVay. Y'all remember when Sean McVay was like, yeah, we talked and we good. And Jared Goff was like, nah, bro. I don't know that man. He's like, nah, bro, I don't know that man. This your man? Come get him. It is very clear that he has no love for Sean McVay. It started off by Jared Goff telling you that Sean McVay gave him a call and said that they were going to trade him to Detroit. And not very long after, I think he said 30 minutes, could have been less, It was all over Twitter. Like the fact that they were trading him up out of LA was all over Twitter. He didn't like nothing happened before this call, by the way. That's why he was upset about it. And then he said that it would have been nice to get a call. It would have been nice to have a conversation. Like getting a call and then 30 minutes later the news is all over the place. That means that all they were doing was they just wanted to check the boxes and say, hey, we called him. You know, we had a conversation on the phone. Right? He said there was no why, there was none of that. And he said it would have been nice to have that conversation to understand, you know, what the thought process was and what the mindset was, but there was none of that. And he said, you know, something to the effect of it would have been nice to get, you know, that it would have taken some maturity to have that conversation, or it would have been nice to get that type of maturity, something like that. He said that Sean McVay did not have the emotional intelligence. He did not have the capacity. We do not have the capacity. Okay? He did not have the capacity mentally, emotionally, spiritually to make that call the way that call should have been made, or to have that conversation the way that conversation should have been had, or to go and sit down with the man and say, here's what we're doing, here's what happened, here's why. That's all Jared wanted. So, what up, though, TaylorMade Media? Yes, that is the story. Sean McVay gave him a call right before the news hit Twitter. Okay? If you did that to me, I'd be pissed too. So, basically, the reason that Jared Goff so loves being in Detroit is because Brad Holmes started spam calling him. Okay? Brad Holmes started spam calling him. He wouldn't answer. He didn't know it was Brad Holmes' number. His agent called him and he said, Brad's trying to get you on the phone. So Jared Goff was like, oh, snap. Let me answer this. So he answered. He talked to Brad. He said Brad sounded like he was out of breath. And he was just telling him how happy he was that he was there and that we were able to get him, yada, yada, yada. And he said he talked to Dan, and Dan echoed the same sentiments. So he got a little bit emotional. He was like, this is my team. That's my quarterback. That's my teammate. Right? He got a little bit emotional, and basically he, from day one, he felt welcome. So that's why when they won that playoff game for the first time since, what was it, 92, January 5th, 1992, that's why Dan Campbell took the ball and gave it to Jared Goff and said, you know what, Jared, you're good enough for effing Detroit. That's why. That was the culmination of that entire situation. The lack of maturity, the throwing under the bus, by the LA Rams, by chiefly Sean McVay. And then to beat Sean McVay, like I said, that's when he was like, oh, yeah, we talked. We was all good. No. Didn't talk. And to beat him, right, they downplayed it. But that was the underlying situation that was there. So, shout out to Jared Goff. What up, though, Tactical Sport? What up, though, Flying Hawaiian? So TaylorMade says Rams in LA on 12/14. Jared Goff's got to circle the date. I guess you do circle the date, right? Because like you just keep beating. They've only beaten us once since the trade, and we've played 3 times. Right? The first time they beat us is when we went back to LA that very year when we were garbage, and we almost won that game. The year that the trade went down, we went back to LA and almost won that game there. We fell just short, and we were a garbage team, and they haven't been able to beat us the last few times that they played us. So, yeah, you probably circle that date, and you probably want to, BTA again. Because every time someone does, like, if someone wrongs you and you are in a situation, I know this firsthand. If someone wrongs you and you're in a situation to get back at them and to rub it in their face, it's human nature. That's what you want to do. Okay? That's why we got to get my subscribers up. That's why you got to tell everybody that you know, run to the hills and tell them about Motor City Cats. Share it with everybody. That's how you keep it pragmatic. You got to share with everybody, because at some point in time, it may not be this season. It may not be next. I don't know. But at some point in time, the goal is to roll. Okay? Because I'm telling you right now, if I were to pass a certain person, they might harm themselves on camera. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I can say. I don't want to get banned. So, Mary Smith, what up, though? And she says, haven't been on here in a while. Hope everyone and everything is all good. Yes, ma'am. We missed you around here. We are glad you are back. No tactical. We didn't talk about that yet. We did not talk about that. All right. The next thing that I gleaned from this, because I watched like 5, I think I got through 5 episodes of it, so I only have a few more to go. Remember when I talked to you guys about the punches and bunches, when I talked about Jared Goff turning the football over, and I told you that he gets in his head that he has to go back out there and make another play. Remember I told you that? He pretty much confirmed what I said. Right? He pretty much confirmed what I said. And also what was confirmed was Osama was egging him on. If you guys remember, this is what I said about Johnny Morton. I said, I believe that Johnny Morton is going to, if in a situation where Jared Goff throws a pick, I don't know if it has to be just one pick or if it has to be like a really bad one, like he tried to fit something in. I don't know. But what I do know is I don't believe that Johnny Morton is going to allow it to snowball. I think he's going to take the ball out of his hands and say, let's give it to Monty and Gibbs. Let's give it to Gibbs and Monty, whichever order you want. Okay, Sonic and Knuckles. Knuckles and Sonic. That's not how it works. It's always Sonic and Knuckles. Sonic was, the main attraction. Anyway, I think he's going to give it to him or to them. Let it breathe a little bit. Okay. Let Jared get back in the headspace that he needs to be in. Right? Because he was talking about, when you turn the ball over like that in those situations, you want to get right back out there and, basically erase it. You want to be there for your teammates. You want to be the guy that they need you to be for them. And that's the problem. I believe that is exactly why things snowball for Jared Goff at times, because he has that mentality. It is a great, fantastic mentality to have, but it will cause you to overcompensate. And that's what he said, right? Basically, you're pushing to do more. And when you're pushing to do more, you will make more mistakes because you're not as focused as you need to be. Unfortunately, Osama was like, just keep firing. Just keep firing. We're just going to keep firing. Just gotta get back out there. Just keep fighting. What Goff needs in the situation is for someone to say, relax. We got you. This is the team. We got Gibbs. We got Monty. We got a running game. Okay? Just relax. We're going to run this a lot this next drive just to give you a chance to cool out. Okay? Just give you a chance to cool out. I believe that that's what's going to happen. But like I said, that is what I also glean from Quarterback. So if you have not seen Quarterback yet, it is out on Netflix. And it also tells you why Kirk Cousins sucked so much down the stretch. um, is because his whole right side of his body was injured. So it was the shoulder, the elbow, and the ankle. He said the Achilles had healed up fine, but the ankle, something happened to his ankle. He had an ankle injury, and all of that went together. So he didn't have any power, any juice to put the ball in situations he usually puts it in. And that's why you saw those 3-4 interception games. And that's why you saw them completely crumble down the stretch. So, unfortunately for Kirk O'Change, Swag Surfing Kirk, I think his time is done, especially as a starter. I don't know what they're going to do in Atlanta as a backup, but that's what that is. All right. Just think that's type of mentality is going to Chicago. Yes. Yeah, so here's the thing. I think Osama genuinely liked Jared Goff. I think Osama likes Caleb Williams' skill set more so than he likes Caleb Williams the person. I'm hearing that he has been frustrated with Caleb Williams quite early and quite often. Now, I am no longer a connoisseur of the Chicago podcasts. I was last season. I was a connoisseur of the Chicago podcast because I just wanted to hear their misery. I wanted to drink of their misery, like Bears fans' tears right here. Mm, mm. Delicious. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. Now that Osama is over there, I don't care. You know, it's like I just don't, I don't care. I don't want to look at his face. I don't want to hear from him. But to be sure, he's in for some rough times, some tough times. And if you're not fixing Caleb Williams, which I don't think he is going to be able to do. Fun fact. I forget. I know what it was. Shout out, was it Detroit Fan Man who gave me the heads up on that ESPN Asheville. What were their names? There's two guys. They talk football, right? Mostly one guy is talking, and you can understand he's the expert, and the other guy is just kind of the co-host. So he put me up on those guys, and those guys, when they were doing their NFC North rankings, they were talking about Caleb Williams, and the dude was like, you know what? I did some numbers. He said Caleb Williams had more. Caleb Williams was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL last season. He said the average time to throw a football was 2.5 seconds. Let's say it's somewhere between 2.5 and 2.8. Caleb Williams' average time to throw a football with that garbage offensive line was over 4 seconds. The offensive line wasn't the problem in Chicago. It was Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams had more time to throw the football than most quarterbacks. And he was the most sacked. Let that sink in. Just let that sink in. He's terrible. All right. And I said this. I said this when he was drafted. I said, now, this has probably been scrubbed from the internet as well. Okay? A lot of my takes are out, were scrubbed from the internet. Fortunately for me, I remember what I say. Okay? Because I'm true to what I say and I don't flip-flop and flim-flam. I said to you guys that Caleb Williams is in love with hero ball. And if he doesn't get a coach that can stop him from being in love with football, in love with hero ball, it ain't going to work out. So that's the task of Osama bin Johnson, to get him to fall out of love with hero ball and to get him to work within a system. Now, the problem with Osama bin Johnson is that Osama bin Johnson loves that he is always off script and off schedule and off platform. Okay, so you fanning the flames of the fire by going to your press conference and talking about how you never had someone who could do the things that he does and off schedule, and he can do this and all that. He's off schedule. Okay. At some point, they're gonna have the conversation. Coach, you said you loved how I was off schedule, and he's gonna have to be like, "Well, I need you to be on schedule at some point." So I can see it's failing spectacularly. I can see it flaming out. But the unfortunate thing is, if he can get him to listen, then I can see it being successful. That's the problem. All right. JT Barrett is the new QB coach for the Bears. Maybe he and Coach L get him right. I hope not. As Flying Hawaiian says, let me pop this out. Cause I'm up here like an old man reading like your old uncle's a pimp. Yeah, saying talking about right here. JT Barrett. Yeah, see, yeah, I have about 45 cars. Yeah, and I got. So let me pop this out so I don't have to do that. So yeah, you have been consistent on your Caleb Williams takes. Exactly. Just like my Jordan Love takes. I've been very consistent. Bears got 2 young wide receivers and one that doesn't want to be there. Which one doesn't want to be there? DJ? Is it DJ Moore? What up, the Big Wolf status? That's easy. Here's the schedule. Be on it. Yeah, it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. That's the problem. So I can't really give you my complete takeaways from the quarterback series because I have not watched it all yet. I can tell you that remember that Joe Burrow bought the Batmobile? He never got it. And he was waiting for a year because they had to build it or something. When his house got broken into later in the season, he canceled it. Joe Burrow will not be pulling up to games in the Tumbler from Dark Knight. The purchase has been canceled. It says the Jordan Love hate side. It's not hate, man. You got to show me that you are who they say you are. You know? Now, if you want to crown his ass, then go ahead and crown his ass. But you are who we thought you were. And we let you off the hook. Okay. So, I'm just saying. Flying Hawaii, because he thinks that I hate on Jordan Love because I call him an average quarterback he's not this guy. He showed you last season that he wasn't the guy that everyone was saying that he was. He showed you this last season. Okay, now people will say, the injuries and all this. The only thing that I asked for Jordan Love is what I asked for everyone else. I want to see it. You can't show me something for a half a season and be that guy. It doesn't work that way in football. It has never worked that way in the NFL. It has not. You can't do it for half a season. All right. What up, though? 313 Thug Living. Here's another little topic that I wanted to, because we've been on this off season and we've talked about quite a bit about the Washington Commanders. And there are people that are afraid of the Washington Commanders, and there are people that feel like the Washington Commanders did a lot to beat us in the divisional round. Now, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to come back around to this maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. It depends on when I finish it. I have been pretty much listening to it. Quarterback, I've been pretty much listening to it while I'm driving. That's how I got through so many episodes. Not because I've been really sitting down to watch it, because you don't really have to watch it. All you have to do is really listen. I've seen all the games, so it's not something that I gotta watch. I don't need to look at Joe Burrow talk about his relationship with Jamar Chase and look at Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow's father and Jamar Chase's mother and Joe Burrow's mother and hanging out at their house. But that is one thing that we're going to have to, the chemistry that they have, their families hang out with each other. Their families, their fathers are friends. Their mothers are friends. Okay? The chemistry between Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is crazy. Okay? And because we do have to play the Bengals this season, it is apropos to talk about. That is something that we cannot allow that, because that's the guy he's going to look for first on every play. On every play. Okay? Unless it's a run play. He's going to look for Jamar Chase first. Jamar Chase is always going to be his first read. We've got to figure out a way to take that away from him. Okay? And if we can't take it away from him, we have to make sure that Kirby is back there patrolling the area. Okay? Got to make sure that Kirby is back there patrolling the area. Because if we don't, it's going to be a shootout. Okay? And because the Bengals don't have a defense, we would figure that we would come out on top. However, it is going to be a shootout. So if we're able to limit Jamar Chase, and I know this is easier said than done, and a lot of people say this, hey, all we got to do is limit Jamar Chase. That connection that they got is on a different level. Much, much different. Fine Hawaiian says, I hate Love too, and anyone else on the Packers. Big Wolf Status says, Packers drafted a wide receiver with the first pick, LMAO. Didn't they draft like the first 2 picks? Didn't they use those on receivers? All right. We got a drinking conversation today. My guest has stopped by today. I got to get Shannon Sharp down, bro. I'm not an impressionist. But skip. Can't wait to see J-Mo outdo him. Yes. Oh, TaylorMade. I thought about this when I saw you. Or when I saw this. I thought about you when I saw this, okay? TaylorMade, do you know that in the cold weather, Jared Goff threw an 82-yard pass to Jameson Williams, which I believe Jameson Williams caught at the 15-yard line. Jared Goff threw this ball from the 18. I got to go back and look at it, but he caught it somewhere within the 20. So that means air yards were what? 60? He threw it 60 yards in the air in the cold weather in Chicago in December. He launched that bit. He launched that bit. Okay? I was like, that TaylorMade. All right. Now let me get to my point about the Commanders. While I was watching the game, basically Jared Goff's breakdown on the Texans game, when he threw all them picks, and he said that he put his team in a bad situation. He put it on himself. Okay? The fact that they were able to come back and win, it was an anomaly. It wasn't the norm. So then we go to the divisional round, and we're playing the Commanders. And I've said this before, and again, I stay consistent with the things that I say. Okay, 51 times, but he can do it though. That's the thing. That's the thing, Taylor May. When Johnny Moe was talking about throwing the football down the field, right? Big shots. Jared Goff has the arm to do it. That's all. That's all. That's all I'm saying. It's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched. Joe Burrow used to run track. Joe Burrow broke out down the field against the New York Giants, and he was gone. He looked like he was running about a 4.5. Okay? And for a quarterback, that's fast, right? He looked like he was running about a 4.5. Joe Burrow doesn't do that often, but it's in his bag. And that's my point. Jared Goff hasn't been asked to throw deep balls often, but we see it's in his bag. We see it. We know he can do it. We know he can launch that thing. That's my point. All right. So with the Commanders, okay, we go down and go up 14-3. With our defense, who couldn't stop anybody, apparently. In the first two drives that they had, we held them to 3 points. Okay? Or the first drive, I think we got the ball first. We went down and scored. It was 7-0. They went down and got a field goal. They didn't go down and get a touchdown. Now we go down and go up 14-3. As I said, the game would have been over. Had the game gone the way that I said, we go up 14-3. We don't have any turnovers. What are we afraid of the Commanders for? Because people are crowning the Commanders. People are putting the Commanders over us. What did you see from the Commanders in that game that made you afraid? What did you see from the Commanders in that game that made you believe that we could not beat them? What did you see from the Commanders in that game that made you believe that they are an obstacle? Everybody. I don't know if y'all saw the original Top Boy. Okay. But if you know, you know. Okay. When Sugar says somebody if he dead, everybody dies. Okay. Everybody died on the defense. Almost. Just almost everybody. And in the beginning of that game, it was still looking like it was going to be 14-3. With no defense. With a bunch of scrap heap players. What makes you afraid of the Commanders? We saw what's his name? CJ Stroud have a sophomore slump. We saw Jordan Love have a sophomore slump. The sophomore slump is real. People regress in year 2. What makes you afraid of the Commanders? Is it Deebo Samuel? Hell, they lost Jonathan Allen. He plays for the freaking Vikings right now. What makes you afraid of the Commanders as a Lions fan? I looked at that game, and I've always looked at that game. And when I go back and when the game pops up on quarterback, which probably is going to be the next couple of episodes or maybe the last episode. As I said, I'm on episode number 5. I think I'm on episode 5, about to finish it, or just started it, or I might just be starting episode 6. Yeah, I think I'm starting episode 6. Okay. Whenever that game comes up on the show, I'm going to have the same opinion. The Washington Commanders did not beat the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions beat the Detroit Lions. Specifically, it's my quarterback. It's my teammate. Okay? And he's probably going to tell you the same thing. When he gets in front of that microphone, which he's done already because all the episodes are out, he's probably going to say, that game is my fault. Also, before I forget, for those of you who were suspicious, or not suspicious, superstitious, Jared Goff really loves the black uniforms. I just wanted to put that out there. Your quarterback, my quarterback, it's my teammate, loves the black uniforms. He loves them so much that he went out there and threw a perfect game in the blacks. I'm just saying. All right, 313 Thug Living. Flying Wine says Goff has a strong arm, but not as strong as Stafford. Goff also throws a lot of ducks and is not nearly as accurate with the long ball as Staff, but he can throw it. And when you're throwing it to Jameson Williams, how accurate do you have to be? And I want to say something about that 82-yard pass. He nearly overthrew him. But here's the other thing that you have to realize about the accuracy. Goff is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL right now. Here's the thing that you have to realize about the accuracy. On the deep pass, on the deep ball. Accuracy on the deep ball is not like other accuracy. Can anybody tell me what it has to do specifically with? I just want to, because we smart up in this chat. Tell me what accuracy on the deep ball has to do specifically with. There is one element of throwing a football that deems the accuracy of the deep ball. What is that? What is the element that I'm looking for? Absolutely nothing. Pick Jared Goff off 3 times, right? Picking Jared Goff off 3 times, was that a product of the defense? Or was that a product of bad throws? Look at the Jameson Williams interception in the end zone. Mikey Sanders was beat by 3 yards and undercut the route. That means it was a bad throw. That doesn't mean that the defense did anything. He was same exact situation. It's the same, son. The same exact situation with Jeffrey Namumbo Oh Hell No Kuda picking off Kyler Murray because he was already beat by DeAndre Hopkins, and Kyler Murray threw a ball behind DeAndre Hopkins. That wasn't because Jeffrey Oh Hell No Kuda made a great play. That was because Jeffrey Oh Hell No Kuda was in position because he was already burnt to get an interception on a pass that was thrown behind the wide receiver. If Jeffrey Oh Hell No Kuda was in his hip pocket where he was supposed to be, sticky on the coverage, guess where that ball would have fell? On the turf. Because Kyler Murray would have thrown it behind both of them. See what I'm saying? Our only obstacle with the Commanders was how many defensive starters were out. No. I don't subscribe to that. Defensive starters were out. We go up 14-3. How does that game turn out? This is what I'm trying to get people to understand. If the defensive starters were out, but your first 3 drives of the game went like this: Detroit 7, Washington 3, Detroit 7. Guess what happens with Washington? The game plan slightly changes a little bit. They got to do something a little bit different. Okay? Because we saw the very next week, the same thing actually happened. Philadelphia 7, Washington 3, Philadelphia 7. Floodgates open. Now, I don't think that we would have beaten them by 50 like the Eagles did, but I think we can comfortably win that game by at least 2 scores. 14-3 is 11 points. It's an 11-point lead. I think we could keep that 11-point lead throughout the game. I think it would have been that way. I don't think that we would have lost that game had we played it without turnovers. I think the main culprit of the NFC, of the divisional round game loss, was that we have 5 turnovers. 3 interceptions from Goff, 1 fumble from Goff, 1 interception thrown by Jameson Williams on a really, 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 really stupid play call. He said, throw it up and hope like hell. No. No. I love the black uniforms too. I wish they would go to them as the home uniforms. That would be fire. Goff throws behind J-Mo often. On this 82-yarder that I'm talking about, he threw it ahead of him. Now, here's the thing. You just hit on the point. I'm telling you a situation where he threw it, the longest pass, okay, maybe of his career. I know that was the longest play of the Lions season. Okay, the 82 yards. It was thrown ahead of Jameson Williams. Okay, in the Titans, not the Titans, in the Texans game, you saw one of those interceptions as a result of Jared Goff throwing the ball behind Jameson Williams. Accuracy on the deep ball has to do with timing. Accuracy on the deep ball has to do with timing. And here's the thing. If Osama wasn't playing up the deep ball the way that Johnny Morton is, how much practice time and how much time after practice do you think that they spent working on that timing, that chemistry? Probably a lot, but not as much as they're going to work on it this year. Because if it is a staple of your offense, if you want to take 5, 6, 7 deep shots a game, okay, which is probably somewhere between 3 and 7. Okay, I would say that that's a comfort zone for Johnny Morton. I want to take between 3 and 7 deep shots per game. Okay, if you take 8, and I just say 8, just as a number, because I don't think it's going to be 10. Okay, but if you take 8 and you connect on 50% of them, that means you have 4 50-plus yard completions every game, right? So if you're gonna push that thing down the field, which is what Johnny Morton has said, we're gonna push the ball down the field. It is going to be practiced a whole lot more, and the timing is going to be a whole lot better. Okay? Again, watch quarterback. Any of us that played quarterback on a lower level, my first position that I played when I was 9 years old was quarterback, because my dad was my coach and he didn't like the way that I didn't hit the hole as a running back. And I'm like, Barry don't hit the hole. I'm not hitting it. Barry is my football father. Who are you, man? Okay, that, that was my situation. So I played quarterback. Okay, if you played quarterback in high school, you didn't play quarterback. You don't really play quarterback until you get to college or the NFL, right? The way that Kirk Cousins was talking to Bijan Robinson about how to run a particular route, and he was explaining to him what he needed from him and why he needed him to do it this way instead of the way that he did it, is the type of stuff that Jared Goff and Jameson Williams are able to talk about, and they're definitely going to be talking about it on the deep balls. Okay, so while they're in practice and they're in training camp, they're going to be practicing this. If it is going to truly be part of Johnny Mo's offense, they're going to have to practice it. And I don't believe that you're going to see as many underthrows or overthrows. It's hard to overthrow Jameson Williams. Okay, but if Jameson Williams can trust that his quarterback is going to be able to consistently get the ball out there, and he's not going to have to slow down, he's going to be able to hit him in stride, then you won't see him, because sometimes J-Mo broke stride because maybe he didn't think it was coming to him, maybe he misjudged it in the air, okay? But if they work on that chemistry and that timing, and Goff can just say, hey, I'm going to get it to you, J-Mo's going to take it. Watch. Yeah, this troll Skull Mac, Skull Mafia. Um, is that clown? What's his name? Michigan Skolander or something? Some clown on Twitter who is from Michigan, but jumped ship and became a Vikings fan. And he's all over like the Detroit Lions posts and stuff like that. It's like, but if you hate being a Lions fan, you hated being a Lions fan, why are you actively all over? Like whenever the Detroit Lions post something, you can find him in the comments. It's like, bruh, get off the sack. You jump ship. Now you can't come back. Be gone. Go over there and holler at the Vikings. I don't know that the long ball has more to do with timing as it does with the combination of a strong arm combined with a good eye. The QB needs both, and I think Goff lacks that good eye. I think Goff lacks experience, right? Because I'm telling you, this good eye has to do with experience, time on task. If you are let me give you another example. If you are a good knife thrower, right? You're accurate throwing knives. Okay? You're going to be a good dart thrower then, right? Probably. If you are an accurate knife thrower, you probably could be pretty accurate with the bow and arrow, but it's a different skill set. You've got the accuracy already, but now you have to hone that skill of shooting a bow and arrow into the bullseye like you can with a knife. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying it's time on task. The more that Jared Goff is asked to do this in practice, the more that it is worked on, I think it's going to work out and you're going to see more accuracy. That's all I'm saying. Said he's great at short to intermediate routes, which do require timing more. But this is what I'm saying. He's good at knife throwing. Okay, no, he's good at. Well, we probably need to switch the analogy because if we're talking about bullseyes with the bow and arrow. But anyway, you understand my point. It's two different skills that they're not far off. And you already have one skill. The most important skill is that you are accurate. You feel me? That's the most important skill. After that, it's time on task. It's time on task. If you're not asked to throw the deep ball as much, then you're not going to have the opportunity to hone that skill as much as the other ones. So that's why I'm saying, just give him some time on task, and I think he'll be fine. Right? We shall see. But the question about the Commanders was pretty much answered by they did absolutely nothing. And I think that's very accurate. Yeah, he can develop, and that's why I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That was my whole point. He's got to get that down with J-Mo. And apparently Tesla is as fast as J-Mo, and he's much more athletic than J-Mo. Let some fans tell it. Let some fans tell it. Like this guy's the replacement for J-Mo. Even though J-Mo runs a 4.1 and this guy runs a 4.5. He's just as fast. Yeah, okay. All right. He doesn't have the arm strength to have a game-winning Super Bowl drive, so I hope it doesn't come down to him versus Philly defense in the final 2 minutes. We just said there was an 82-yard pass that went 50, 60 yards in the air. How does he not have the arm strength? Please, 313 Thug Living, please go put on the tape of, and I would pull it up here, but I don't want to get banned. Go put on the tape of Jared Goff's 82-yard pass to Jameson Williams. Okay, how much running did Jameson Williams do after he caught the football? Not too much. Okay, not too much. He stepped up in the pocket and he launched that thing all the way down the field. I'm telling you, it happened. I saw it. I don't know. What is it? I don't understand the questioning of arm strength. I don't, because I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. And I'm telling you, it's not something he was asked to do. Right? Does he have the strongest arm in the NFL? No. Does he throw the prettiest ball in the NFL? No. Can he throw it 50, 60 yards through the air? Yes. He can. He can do that. Was he asked to do it? No. This is what I'm saying. He wasn't asked to do it the majority of the time. That's just the point. He was not asked to do it. He can't run. No. No. He's not. But you know what? The last couple years, he'll pick up 3, 4, 5 yards when you need the first down. Right? Is he a track star? No. Is he a quote unquote mobile quarterback? No. Can he pick up a couple yards in a pinch? Yep. But I'm not going to tell you he can run. No, I'm not going to say that. Joe Burrow can run. I saw him do it. Joe Burrow's arm, crazy. Okay? But Joe Burrow is in an offense where you throw the ball deep downfield to Jamar Chase all the time. Okay? And remember when I said earlier in the show, the chemistry and the connection between Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow is crazy. It's crazy. So that's why I said when we're talking about the deep ball and all that stuff that's going to be going to JMO, it's about chemistry and connection, especially on those routes. That's my only point. You didn't say can he lead the drive. You said arm strength. You said arm strength. And we do have evidence of Goff leading. Now, it may not have been 80 yards, but remember when he came off shoulder surgery, not shoulder, thumb surgery, and he got benched for the playoff game, and Wolford was garbage, and I think Wolford got injured, so they put Goff in against they put him back in after surgery against the Seahawks, and he drove him down and won that game. Remember that? It's there. Right? And again, I understand when people don't like Goff, but the question I always ask is who you getting? Who you getting? Because I'm not willing to go back to Tim Boyle and David Blau, Jeff Garcia, Scott Mitchell, Joey Harrington. Who else? Charlie Batch. I'm not willing to do that. So if you're getting rid of Goff, what's your plan? That's all I ask. What's the plan? Rodney Pete. I listen. What's the plan? I'm just saying, what is the plan? David Blau's wife looks like an ostrich. And also, she looks exactly like her brother. Eric Hipple. The list goes on. She looks exactly like her brother. That weirds me out. When a woman looks exactly like a man, it's weird to me. Like, you might not know this, right? Like, you see somebody and you be like, oh, she looks like her father, but she doesn't look exactly like her father, right? This woman could be her brother's twin. I find that weird, and I'm not hating that's how she was created, but I'm just saying it's weird to me being able to see both of them on television and going, hey, yeah, if you did your hair like that, you would look, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two of you. So that, that's the part. The plan should be CJ Stroud via trade. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Who's going to do that deal? Who is going to do, which organization? The Texans are going to accept Jared Goff and the Lions are going to accept CJ Stroud. How does that work? What are you offering the Texans for CJ Stroud? This I do not get. And then you make this statement after CJ Stroud has a down season. Her brother, TaylorMade Media, is Christian Gonzalez, who plays for the New England Patriots. He was their first round draft pick. One of the best young quarters in the league. That's her brother. Christian Gonzalez is her brother. Stroud on the Lions would be fired is a pipe dream. I'm talking about a real plan. A real plan. He said the trades won't happen, but it's still awesome to think about. But I'm just saying, what's a realistic plan? See, here's the thing. Y'all know I'm not a Stafford fan, but there was a realistic plan in my head to get rid of Stafford. You know what the realistic plan was? Draft a quarterback. You know why? Because we sucked while Stafford was here. Because Stafford wasn't winning us anything, we were in position to draft a quarterback. A lot of years. If it wasn't a top 5 pick, we were top 10. We easily could have traded up into the top 5 to grab us a quarterback. We could have had Lamar Jackson. And we didn't have to trade anywhere. We could have had Justin Herbert. And we wouldn't have had to trade anywhere. So when I say a realistic plan, there you go. I had one. Draft somebody. Who? I thought her name was something Martinez. No, it's Gonzalez. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. I've seen David Bob's. I know exactly who it is. It's Christian Gonzalez's sister. That's who it is. 313 Thug Living. Herbert is Stafford in Detroit. He's got big arm talent and he doesn't win anything. But here's my question to you, 313 Thug Living. Do you think Herbert with this regime? Because I hear that Stafford's problem in Detroit wasn't all the fact that he didn't know how to hold on to the football and protect it. That wasn't his problem in Detroit. In Detroit, his problem was he didn't have any coaching. He didn't have any weapons. He didn't have a team around him. Okay? Herbert in this regime, what do you expect from Herbert in this regime? The regime that fixed Jared Goff, right? After he was cast aside by the LA Rams. What do you expect from Herbert with this kind of coaching, this kind of roster, this kind of line? What do you expect from him? Do you expect more than what Stafford gave you here? Do you expect any playoff success? Because Justin Herbert put his team in the position to win a playoff game. I don't want to hear nothing about Brandon Staley. You got to get 3 points, Justin. But Brandon Staley is a terrible coach. Head coach, for sure. Staff was the problem when he was here. You can't throw all those pick sixes. You can't. You can't throw so many interceptions in pivotal moments of games. Would you tell me that Stafford wasn't the reason that we lost that playoff game in 2015 against the Cowboys when he turned the ball over twice on the last drive when that was the game-winning drive. We had an opportunity to go down and win the game and on that drive. You telling me that wasn't Stafford's fault? Throwing an interception in that pivotal situation, then it gets stripped on the return, and then Stafford gets it back. And then he gets sacked on the same series to end it all. Was that not his fault, or was that someone else's fault? But he's got Harbaugh coaching him now. Yeah, he does. But I'm telling you, Justin Herbert, because the thing was, when I said Justin Herbert, we could have had Justin Herbert, 313 Thug Live and Laugh. And had we drafted Justin Herbert, it was Fatty Matty Patty's last season anyway. He wasn't coming back. You understand what I'm saying? So we would have had this regime anyway. Because Justin Herbert wasn't going to be playing. They drafted Jeffrey Namumbo Ohel No Kuda on a win now mandate, and he didn't help the team win at all. He didn't help them win anything. Okay? So Justin Herbert would have been the same. He would have just been sitting on the bench waiting for his opportunity, and then Stafford definitely would have wanted to go out the door because they drafted his replacement. He wanted to leave anyway. And they left us high and dry because they didn't go out and get a replacement. We had to rely on Brad Holmes to come in here and get a quarterback in the deal who Sean McVay was trying to throw away. Imagine if Matthew Stafford wanted to go to San Francisco instead of the LA Rams. Imagine if Matthew Stafford wanted to go to the Las Vegas Raiders instead of the LA Rams. Who do we have as our quarterback? Just imagine the situation. Because Herbert was absolutely the right draft pick in that draft. It was not Jeffrey Namumbo Ohel No Kuda. For damn sure it wasn't Tua. It was Herbert. And where did he go? 5th instead of 3rd to the Detroit Lions. Stafford's OC. Stafford threw the interceptions. His OC didn't throw them. Stafford had a problem protecting the football. Like, you can be a Stafford fan. That's fine. I'm not one. I will tell you, Jared Goff threw 5 picks against the Texans, and we somehow won that game. And he turned the ball over 4 times in the divisional round against the Washington Commanders. That is on him. The NFC Championship game is not on Jared Goff. He didn't turn the ball over once. I'm being objective. Okay? When I see something, I call it the way you can't. Listen. Tell me a bad take that I have had. I'll wait. Do you know why I don't have bad takes? Because I rely on the eye test more so than stats. And the eye test told me that Matthew Stafford had a problem throwing the football to the other team. He had a consistent problem throwing the football to the other team. Do you know why his record against winning teams was like 9-71 when he was in Detroit? Partially defense, but also partially because you can't throw the ball to the other football team and expect to win on a consistent basis. No, the refs took that game. Remember? No, 3-on-3 Thug Living. The refs, yeah, they did what they did, but Stafford had an opportunity to win the game. We had a game-winning drive where Stafford threw a pick and got strip sacked in the same drive. Y'all got to go back and watch because I've done it multiple times. Stafford was a problem. He was the reason that we lost that game. You can't have a game. And it was a bad pick. It wasn't like it was a bad pick. Y'all got to watch it. Go watch it. I have watched it recently. It was a terrible interception. It was like the one he tried to throw to Jaquiski Tart, right? In the NFC Championship game when they played San Francisco, when they went to the Super Bowl. The one that he threw right in his breadbasket? Yeah, he did that. He threw it to a linebacker. The Pettigrew call was not the death blow. That's what everybody wants to remember. It wasn't. You got to go back and watch it. The last time we had the ball, we had a chance to go down and score a touchdown and win the game. Stafford threw a bad interception to a linebacker. During the return of the interception, we managed to strip him. He fumbled. We recovered. Then we got the ball back. Then on fourth down, Stafford got strip sacked. The Cowboys recovered. That was the ball game. So yes, we wanted that drive to continue with Pettigrew and all these things, and it was a bad, it was bad that the referees picked up that flag. But we had the opportunity. We had the ball in our hands with time to go and an opportunity to go down and score and control our own destiny, and we didn't. Because our quarterback turned the ball over twice in the same drive, which I've never seen before. Staff is a gunslinger a la Favre. Staff is a scrambler a la Favre. Favre is now in the Hall of Fame, and Staff is headed there. Go ahead and hate, but it makes no sense. It makes sense because he wasn't good in Detroit. Like, he wasn't part of winning in Detroit. He didn't win anything for us in Detroit. He never won a division, much less a playoff game. He didn't win. And a lot of the times that he didn't win was because he threw interceptions. And he got strip sacked. And he had a turnover problem. Can we admit that Stafford had a turnover problem? That had nothing to do with his OC, his DC, his HC, his QBC, right? Nothing. Go back and watch the Thanksgiving game. Where Matthew Stafford threw 4 interceptions to the Green Bay Packers. And I believe 2 of them were pick sixes. Go back and watch this game. Like, I don't just be saying this stuff just to say it. He had a problem. My memory of the cardiac cats in the Matthew Stafford era was that Stafford is going down the field, and I'm like, wait for it, here it comes. Pick. Game over. When I watch Jared Goff on a game-winning drive, I don't think that a pick is coming. When I watch Matthew Stafford on a game-winning drive, I thought a pick was coming every time. And then I would breathe a sigh of relief when it didn't. This is why was I wired that way? Why did I think that? Because I saw it so many times. That's all I'm saying. I'm keeping it real. Y'all not even keeping it realistic. Hold on. I'm behind on some of this. McVay is a genius. Agreed. How many game-winning drives did he have with multiple coaching changes on crap teams with an OC named Jim Bob Cooter? Jim Bob Cooter was the ish the first year he took over. Everybody loved Jim Bob Cooter. Everybody loved Jim Bob Cooter when he took over. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. He wasn't great as an offense coordinator overall. Okay? Listen, man. Here's my thing. You can be a bad play caller. That's fine. You can suck as a play caller. That's fine. No play caller is dialing up interceptions. You're not. Your job as an offensive coordinator is to call plays. None of those plays in your playbook are called interception left, interception right, and interception middle. That play is not in your playbook. If Terrion Arnold does not get flagged versus the Texans late, the Lions lose that game because he damn sure was on the guy's back before the ball gets there. Hey, sometimes you got to take a penalty to win a game. Stafford led the league in interceptions, says Mark Garcia. The year's Rams won the Super Bowl. Okay? Is that a good thing? Leading the league in interceptions? That's what gunslingers do. They end up with a lot of picks, but they also throw a ton of deep balls and have high yardage and TD stats. But did it win us games? In Detroit, was Matthew Stafford a winning quarterback? Did he have a winning record when he left Detroit? So if you've got a gunslinger, right? Okay, I've got a Steph Curry. Okay? And Steph Curry is coming down and he's pulling up from half court. And we're losing by 20 all the time. Oh, but it's so pretty because Steph Curry is pulling up from half court. Okay? Right? Steph Curry plays for the Pistons when we were really bad. And Steph Curry's pulling up from half court. Ooh, damn. Steph. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Okay? But we're not winning. And then Steph Curry goes to the Warriors and he wins. Am I supposed to be like, oh, Steph Curry is so great because he was pulling up from three from half court or wherever and we weren't winning no games? We were losing by 20 all the time? No. I'm just. Mark Garcia says, I'm a Rams fan. I always said that the Rams won the Super Bowl despite the addition of Stafford. This is a Rams fan. Okay. Because he was on a lot of bad teams with multiple coaching changes. All right. So here's what I'll say. Okay. Here's what I'll say, Flying Hawaiian. Mark Garcia, thanks for telling the truth. He was trying his best to carry the team with one wide receiver. Just because he failed to carry the other 9, you shouldn't hate on the guy. Yeah, and the rest of the league saw that he was doing and he sucked after the first year. Cooter was overhyped. Yeah, he wasn't great. Okay, but here's what I'll say. Tom Brady has said that the quarterback's number one responsibility is to do what? Manage the game. Matthew Stafford put our poor defenses in bad situations quite often because you just want to sling the football because you're a gunslinger. Are you managing the game properly if you are a gunslinger and your supporting cast is not the cast to support your gunslinging addition? Are you managing the game properly? That's my question. Because if you've got a certain play style and that play style doesn't mesh with the personnel that you have on your team, you have to play differently. If Steph Curry is playing on an NBA basketball team with a bunch of 5 foot tall players, and he's pulling up from everywhere, and his team doesn't have the ability to get rebounds, is Steph Curry supposed to still be pulling up from everywhere to shoot? Or should he be trying to be a little bit more pragmatic with it, driving, trying to get better shots so that the opportunities, the second chance opportunities that his team is not going to actually get aren't there? He's going to try to get the ball into the basket more so the first time. If Steph Curry is playing with a 7-foot center, okay, who's going to get rebounds anywhere you slice it, then he can shoot from wherever he wants. I'm just saying. You get my point, but it comes down to coaching and maybe drafting. The Lions knew what Stafford was in college. Plays were called by coaches. It's not all on staff. What we'll agree to is this: it was both of their fault. Okay, it's like both of ours, but I'll keep it at my house. Okay, Stafford. I think it was a failure by everyone. It was a failure by the organization. It was a failure by the player. You know, all I'm saying is, as a Lions fan, when I would constantly watch the turnovers, I was out. I was out. I was out on Jared Goff as soon as he came in the door, because his play year one was trash. But again, he evolved. He got better. We did get better personnel. We did get better coaching. They gave him ownership of the offense. They empowered him to do more. And that helped with his development. He became a better quarterback. He's a much better quarterback now than he was when he came in the door in 2021. Right? So that's all I'm saying. Matthew Stafford wasn't part of a winning culture in Detroit, and he didn't have the leadership qualities to hold himself accountable. If no one else is going to hold you accountable, you have to hold yourself accountable, especially when your team is not winning. Does that make sense? If no one else is going to hold you accountable, you must hold yourself accountable, especially when your team does not win. Right? All right, this has been a good chat. It's all love. Shake hands. I'm going to have to get out of here, y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming through and sitting down for a drink and conversation. I got my drink today. But yes, we will be back tomorrow. I will try to finish up this series, talk more about it. Yeah. So the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats and not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And because we do have some people in here that might not have heard it, I am indeed working on a fantasy football platform. I will keep you guys, anyone who's interested in fantasy football, I will keep you guys updated. I'm working on another project a little bit more feverishly right now, but hopefully I'll get that done within the next couple of days, and then I can kick into high gear to try to get this done by training camp, ideally by preseason, because obviously it's got to be up and running before the season starts and before people start doing their fantasy football drafts and things like this. So, yes, I will eventually start giving you guys preview links and asking for your feedback and all these things. But it is what it is, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. It's possible flying Hawaiian, but we'll never know because he ain't. Exactly. We would not have had that first draft haul. So shout out to Stafford for the draft picks that we got and for Jared Goff. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead head on out of here, and I will see you all tomorrow. So peace.